Hi, just thought I'd do a quick one on this one. This is a product, it's just sheet wax. It's not called sheet wax, it just is sheet wax. It is exactly as the name says. It is a piece of wax which is obviously quite flexible, especially when you warm it up with a gun. But it is a consistent thickness. So basically it's a complete sheet. It is sticky backed, so you do have a peel off backing with a slight glue on the back. It's not a particular heavy glue, you can easily pull it back off. Sheet wax thermostable, there you go, adhesive coated. Anyway, the uses for it are numerous when you're prototyping, stroke, making new panels and various bits and pieces. You're making molds, you can use that as the flange on the mold, because it will form and forms easily. How it sticks, I haven't personally done that. I haven't made too many large molds with it. I normally end up using the corrugated plastic. But what it is good for, because you can get it in whatever thickness you want. I think it starts off at 1 mil and probably goes up to 5 or 6 or whatever else. But then you can just add layers. If you wanted something that was, say, a perfect 3mm gap, which is basically the thickness of this, you can laminate on this and now know that whatever you laminate on top of here is a 3mm offset from the part you've just made. Now, the diffuser was the last part that I needed to make, basically to get this shape, so that I can now finish and put a flange, or a return edge, should we say. Stop using that word. Putting a return edge all the way around here. Once I've got the return edge, it'll get this a bit more stable, because it's not particularly, it bends a bit too much at the moment. Once I've got a return edge here, that'll give that bit more stability, and I can afford to fill it, because I've been filling this previously, and it basically buckled the thin piece of fiberglass sheet that I'd started with behind it. It actually becomes ridiculously thick, if you can kind of see that. It's about 1 inch thick in filler here, because as I filled it, the heat distortion, it pushed it backwards. So it kind of needs that return edge, and then it gives it some stability. I think it's thick enough now that I'm only a skim of filler away from getting it to where I want it. This obviously is a fair few years old now. Anyway, yeah, so basically I've put the sheet wax on the part that I want to laminate separate from that, and if you can bear with me for a second, if I just put that there. Yes, this thing does weigh a ton. There we go. Right. Now, if you can imagine, I want to laminate a return edge on here. So now I've got a perfect surface. This is, I've lasered it up, is where I want it to be. This is where I want it to be. That's lasered up across there to make sure it's level. There's a minor gap there now, but that's fine. That's what I wanted. So all I need to do, and I can just about get in here. I just can't. My head's a bit squirrely. I can now get in here and fiberglass laminate there. Just basically put some fiberglass onto that up to here, and now I've got basically the perfect return. Oh, get my head back out. I'll have the perfect return, so there will be a 3mm gap between that and that once it's all done. Don't want it touching, because obviously if it touches, it's going to chafe. It's going to make a noise. It's this is carbon part, and it's just going to keep scratching the lacquer. We probably will on the panel itself, not so much in here, so when it's open you can't see it quite so much, but on that return edge that we're going to make, we'll probably put little rubber buffers so that they're touching, so at least it doesn't, if it does wobble a little bit, then basically it doesn't do any damage to it, but there'll just be little buffers. So yeah, sheet wax, something people might not know about, perfect for making that perfect panel gap. There you go. Anyway, yes, back of the car while I'm doing here. Diffuser is, yes, dead happy with how efficient that's going to be. Could have done a few extra things differently. Could have moved this surface here and widened it out to give us more girth at the back and basically give us more volume. But there's always the risk when you try and gain too much area and basically try and speed the air up too much that you might lose the actual the flow, and it might start to tumble, and then you're goosed. Basically, you've just lost. Once you lose, the reason why most diffusers tend to be dead flat is it's a very slow progression. It's simple. If you start to curve up too much too quickly, then unless you've done CFD or you've done stuff in the wind tunnel to know the fact that that angle with the air that's coming underneath the car at that point is perfectly happy with accelerating even more, you always run the risk. And obviously not having CFD on this basically means I'm kind of staying on the ultra conservative side. Yes, I know it's quite deep, but it's deep over like 1.7, so from here to the front of the engine is 1.7 meters away. So and I'm being told any angle around about 8, basically sub 10 degrees. They're saying anything over 10 degrees is dodgy. So I'm running about an 8.5 degree angle rake with the rake of the car included, so a static rake. The rake of the car is about 0.3. The back of the car is a little bit lower than it's 140 millimeter at the back and 100 millimeter at the front. So we've got 40 millimeters of rake in the car from front to back. We have some, but not as much as we previously had. So yes, anyway, so I am kind of ultra conservative there. The previous diffusers before I started learning anything that I built on the Mark 1, which didn't start until the gearbox starts, so they're a little bit shorter. I did widen out both sides. I basically made made both sides of it tapered. That's when a few people started telling me, you know, Bobby, be careful, blah, 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 and I started doing some more research in it, and this is more of an exercise of, yes, it could have worked, but then if it stalled the air and it would have had no effect, it would have been purely for style and not particularly use. This is a little bit squarer, but actually it looks bad in white because it's you kind of, yeah. It'll look better when it's in carbon fibre. The underneath aero style here, I have lifted the plate from the rear eagle plate back, so we do gain, if you can imagine, we do gain about 52 millimeters here over the 450 millimeter length. I think it's 450, is it 550? I can't remember. So that is actually part of the diffuser itself. It's just not as tall because obviously it hasn't got as much length to work on. It's about a third the length of the rest of it. That's just less than a third of that because that's whatever. That's 8.5 degrees. That's about 8.4 degrees, just the way it worked out. That's another aluminium panel because it's pretty much flat and simple, so I didn't bother trying to make it complicated. These vertical strakes here and there'll probably be another one in the middle. We'll probably do a vertical strake here and one on that side as well. But they're individual pieces, so I don't need to worry about them for the mould. I'm just playing around with exhaust exit sizes. Yet again, I've played safe again. Jesus, I'm getting old. I haven't blown the diffuser with the exhaust. It's another thing. If I had CFD and I can guarantee that it wouldn't screw things up, I didn't want to play with it. So I've played safe. I need a number plate area. So it was either number plate here, exhaust at the top, or number plate there and exhaust at the bottom. Didn't want to put it through the air grill holes. We'll have the lights kind of here backwards, and this will be open. And I need to exit airflow from the side pods. And there'll be a duct from behind there to get it past and around the wheel to try and get the air from here. So this is turning into a longer video. Anyway, yeah, the air that comes from here is going to go through the intercoolers, which I've ordered now, or the cores anyway. But from there, it's got to get past and around the wheel and come out the back. It's got to have some form of a reasonably easy flow exit. The large, actually let's just show you, it's easier. There you go, let's put that back up. Oh, God, I'd be glad when I get the new panel. It's lightweight, it doesn't 2 inches thicker filler. So if we look from here, if the intercoolers are in this pod here, then we need to get the airflow up and past the suspension. So at the moment we've got this big piece of glass that's going all the way across. Now temporarily we've put a plate in here to hold the bodywork, just so I can jig everything up for tooling. But I think when we make the tooling, we're going to have this piece here, and then we're going to come around this corner. We'll just probably even make it a curve if we can, to come around the wheel. So basically the airflow that comes from the side pod will come through and have an exit that'll naturally get past here, up through the diffuser, and basically out the back via here or via there. But yeah, this being flat all the way to there, it can't be done. So we'll cut this back to allow airflow through here, otherwise it blocks quite a bit. It's got to kind of go round that, which isn't so good. We'll give it some advantage. 11 minutes. So much for a quick video, Clive. Yeah. Yes. So diffuser's getting close. I just wanted to put the fiberglass return edge on here before I start spraying the gel coat on the top of that buck. Yet again, this is actually, it's not that heavy, to be honest. I could use that one, but I'm not going to paint that. I want a carbon part. So this is going to be in 3 parts. There'll be one mold for the main shape here, another mold for the main shape here. We'll run that edge in the mold, so it'll have a flange. But then what we'll do is we'll use the sheet wax again, and when we get the mold, we'll put sheet wax on that edge, so that it'll step that edge back when we make the new part. And then the top piece, the front face and the sides will be made as another piece, and then this edge here will then be 3mm set back from the new top piece, and then I can just bond the 2 pieces together, if you understand that. Yeah, I'm probably talking too fast. But yeah, multiple uses of sheet wax. Kind of reason I started the video. It's been a while since I bought some, but so you can get it in different thicknesses, and it's just good for building offsets into stuff. You know, say if you wanted to be simple in some respects, instead of making the buck that has a reduced level here of 3 or 4mm, if you had a mold that had just a total outer surface, say like this headlamp, say if I didn't want to make this reduced panel in the mold, what I could do is make the mold of the outer shape, cut a piece of sheet wax out. I think, see, this is the silhouette of the headlamp shape. We could cut a piece of sheet wax out that's that shape, put that into the mold, so when we make the part, we have the 3mm offset again. So yeah, again, another use for it. But right, said it was going to be short, lied. Okay, speak to you later.